word. How's it? The other word I'm stealing is laka. I love that word. I'm taking it back to Silicon Valley. But isn't this just laka? Like, come on, right? Yeah, I love that word. But I like it the way you guys say it, like laka. So I'm actually here to tell you a typical Silicon Valley story that happened to me. In 2004, I graduated with my master's in fine arts and painting and started my career as a painter and artist. And this is some of my work up here. And I was teaching at the Art Institute. I was showing my work across the world. And I was a relatively successful painter, like an artist. And pretty much what that means is it pays for itself. You don't make too much money, but it was an amazing career. And I thought that was it. I thought that's what I would be doing. In 2011, I had a disruption in my personal life that caused me to have to find a new job to support my kids. And I had to look outside of my comfort zone. And so I went out to my community and told them, like, if you hear anything that you think I would fit with, just let me know. And the next day, a friend of mine sent me a blog post that she saw. And pretty much the blog post said, nonprofit based in San Francisco looking for event planner, please apply. And it was just this generic Gmail address. So I attached my resume and I sent it. A few hours later, I get a phone call from a woman named Julia. And she's like, hi, I just got your resume. I'm like, what? No, the one that you just sent, to the nonprofit. And I was like, oh, yeah. She goes, well, can I ask you a few questions before I tell you who we are? I said, yeah, sure. And she goes, have you ever used PayPal? I'm like, no, I don't even know what that is. Okay. She goes, do you know what Facebook is? I'm like, no, I don't know what Facebook is. You have to understand, this is what I was using for my classes, okay? This was my technology right here. And she said, okay, well, do you know who Peter Thiel is? And I was like, no, sorry, I have no idea. She's like, okay, great. So let me tell you about who he is. And pretty much he's one of the unicorns of Silicon Valley, started PayPal, invested in Facebook, has amazing venture capital. And he, hold on, I'm looking at my slides here. And he was starting his foundation, the Thiel Foundation. And within that foundation was the Thiel Fellowship. And some of you may or may not know, but this was a fellowship for 20 young students under 20 years old with a 100K fellowship in USD for a 2-year fellowship. And the deal was that you could not go to college during those 2 years, that you had to focus in on your project. And they were looking for people outside of the Silicon Valley universe to bring into this group of people who are going to be running this fellowship and work at the foundation. Peter Thiel has also, and let me go back, the reason that he wanted to start this fellowship was to start the discussion about AV, can you put my next slide up here? Because it's not showing up. Thank you. I got thrown off because they didn't put the slides up. Anyway, so the reason for the fellowship was because at that time, and it's gotten much worse, there's $1.3 billion in school debt in the United States. And so this was a way to start the conversation. During that time, I was lucky enough to, oh, and by the way, yeah, they hired me. So that was the deal. I forgot to tell you that part. So during that time, Peter Thiel wrote this book, 0 to 1. And for me, this was quite an amazing book. And pretty much the quote is, doing what we already know how to do takes the word from 1 to n, adding more of something familiar. But every time we create something new, we go from 0 to 1. The act of creation is singular, as is the moment of creation, and the result is something fresh and strange. And as an artist, when I read this quote from his book and started having discussions about this book while we were all in the office, the two things that really popped out for me was the act of creation and fresh and strange. Creation. There's not enough creation in this world. There's not enough of a creative mindset in this world. And what hit home was I had a real anxiety about working for one of the most powerful men in Silicon Valley, but yet somehow what I was bringing to the table was actually valid and important and amazing. So I'm here to tell you my story because I want you all to start thinking about a creative mindset and not just think about the business part of it, but think outside of disruption, 0 to 1, and creation. I was listening to a lecture by a woman named Sadie Villari, and she had a lecture. This is like, I had one of those aha moments. So I'm hoping to add that aha moment for you guys and talk about disruption. And it hasn't just happened in the last 10, 15, 20, 50 years, but has been going on for a very long time. So we're going to take a little quiz. Can anyone tell me who this painter is? Nope. Okay. Can anyone tell me who this painter is? Nope. No. The first painter is Solomon J. Solomon. And the second painter is Bouguereau. These were the two most famous painters during the mid-1800s in Europe. Absolutely the most important. They were paid well. They got what would be considered like the Nobel Prize of painting. People paid lots of money. People thought they were touched by the hand of God because of how well they could paint. It was amazing. They're amazing. It's beautiful. Who's this? Right? We all know who this was. And he painted at exactly the same time as those other two men. Who's this? Right. You guys all know who this is. Now, they were painting at the same time. They were doing something totally and completely different. And this was disruption. This was 0 to 1. This was 0 to 1 in the art world. I love this quote. Instead of trying to reproduce exactly what I see before me, I make more arbitrary use of color to express myself more forcefully. And that's Van Gogh. And this is one of my favorite paintings of his. But really, this is 0 to 1. The Impressionists were not looking to the past to try to do something new. They were just in their space trying to do something amazing and disruptive in the art world. You can actually see here where Solomon J. Solomon was what he was looking at from a painting from the 17th century by Van Dyck. Like, you could see that he was looking at this painting and saying, okay, I'm going to try to make this painting better. He wasn't thinking about trying to make something different and new and disruptive, but just something better. And I love these analogies because for me as an artist, and I was actually looking at some African art before I came here as well and wanted to add that to my talk, but didn't have the time. But this can be seen throughout art history. And it's not just about, Kodak being disrupted and having to, they didn't get on the digital bandwagon. And this consistently happens. And all of you here know the disruptors and not the innovators, not the ones who kind of played it safe, made a few bucks, but no one remembers who those people are. But you all remember who they are. So this is a picture. You guys will recognize many people here. There's Mick and there's Shane. Love that picture. And so I talk all over the world. I help our partners put these summits together. And this year we have 14 international summits, you being one of them, and I'll have to say so far the best, for sure. Yes, for sure. Laka. Seriously. We're going to have over 20 summits in 2019. And the reason I'm telling you about this is because I want you all to know that you are now part of this community. You are what we are looking for. You are the ambassadors of SU. And be it you get on the app, you take an executive course, you sign up to be in a chapter, you start having this conversation, it's incredibly important that you see and know that SU is here to be your facilitator into this exponential world. You are part of this community, over 21,000 alumni all over the world, representing 110 countries. Like, that's massive, and it's just getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And it's going to get higher once we add all your names to this list. I'm going to end by telling you a story that happened a few days ago. A group of us went to the bush, and a bunch of us speakers went. And we were out, amazing, beautiful day. It started to kind of haze down, and it was about maybe 5 o'clock, close to sundown. And then it started getting windy, and then it started getting more rainy. And all of a sudden, we were stuck in a hailstorm, like I've never seen before. It was apocalyptic. And it was like marbles being thrown at us. And we took blankets, and we were like literally just, really, this was like a lifetime for us, not, for the Americans on this trip. It was pretty intense. We finally got back to the lodge, and the wind was so bad that all the guides had to hold up the wall so that it wouldn't fall down on us. All of the glass tables around the lodge, every single one broke because of the hail that was coming down. It was like marbles being thrown at you. And so here's the group, here's us who went. And when we all got back and we were safe and we were dry, and we all sat down at the dinner table, all we talked about for 5 hours was what we had just experienced. Just over and over again. Oh, remember when that happened? Remember we got stuck there? And then literally our ranger ran off as we were in this truck. We're yelling where are you going? It was, the whole, for 5 solid hours, we were just talking about this experience that we had. And I kind of stepped back and I was thinking, we were all there. We all knew what happened. So why are we talking about it for hours and hours and hours and hours? And really, it's to bond together, to know that you have gone through a journey with someone or a group of people, to kind of rehash and make sense of what just happened, to discuss about what could have happened, what didn't happen, how you're going to move forward. And so I'm wishing that experience for all of you here, except without the hail, and to really not just be a bystander during this summit, but be action-oriented. As Jeff in the beginning said, who's your friend here? Make new friends. Take these conversations, talk about them. These 2 days are going to be an amazing experience for all of you. And so I welcome you to keep the conversation going while you're here, then next week while you're at work or with your family, but keep this conversation going. I love this picture because this is really embrace the fresh and strange, and I hope we can all come together and future-proof Africa. Thank you, and have a great break.